All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. We have Gary here for a community member interview. Gary is a guy that has really he came into the community, just took it upon himself to go above and beyond and got really cool results pretty quickly. So, Gary, thanks for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
So, I think we have a good amount of people come into the community, and there's certain people that come through, and I'm like. I always remember these people as like ones that really, really did it. They ran with it, and I wish everyone would do it like they did it. Just like take the advice, take the initiative, go and run. Um, so yeah, Gary, if you don't know who he is, he's one of those guys. You should listen to what he's about to tell you. Um, but Gary,
Maybe.
what are you up to like right now? And then we'll take it back a little bit.
Cool. Yeah. So currently I'm on one offer, so I'm not splitting my time between multiple offers. Pretty quickly, I got up to that kind of cozy 8K a month range. I've had a couple months where I touched 13, 14, which is super cool. I've had a couple slow months kind of down in that like 6, 7 range, but it's been relatively consistent and pretty life changing. So I've been able to pay off quite a bit of debt, and I've been not saving a lot. I've been reinvesting a lot of what I've earned, and more training and just trying to get better at closing and sales in general because it's a highly transferable skill that'll be with me forever. That's kind of why I
Yeah,
joined the community in the first place, to be honest. But basically, doing what I didn't really know I'd be able to do in such a short period of time, just kind of chilling around that like 9 to 10K a month and feeling pretty good right now. Yeah.
nice. So yeah, you got connected to someone I know personally. His name's Griffin. I'm not going to dox too hard, but he runs like a. How would you describe the business? You don't have to say like the niche or anything, but would you say like coaching, consulting kind of thing?
Kind of. Yeah. So what's really cool about this business is they've kind of taken the best of both worlds from agencies and coaching businesses. So it's not just one or the other. So we have done for you marketing services as well as business coaching. So it's like we kind of help therapists by building their lead generation systems for them and then teaching them how to run it themselves. So they're not like married to being stuck with us forever, which is kind of the downside of a traditional agency model. But it's also not like 100% on them to do everything too, which is kind of the downside of a lot of coaching programs. So it's
Yeah,
kind of it's like an agency and consulting program for mental health professionals, which is pretty cool because we're basically just helping therapists make more money and help more people, which is like the end result of that is
yeah,
astronomically positive and kind of hard to articulate.
yeah. I know you were when I think it was the first week one call that we had. You came in with like three offers extended to you already. Like usually at that point, I'm trying to tell people, okay, now you went through some course material. Now do this. Nobody's usually applying to jobs. You came in already, hit the ground running, had gone through interviews, had gotten offers. But one thing I remember was you were like very particular about the type of offer that you wanted to find yourself in.
Yeah.
How and where you're at now is one that you felt good about. How important was it, and why was it so important to you to find something that you like felt alignment with?
Yeah, big. That's huge. That's probably my number one piece of advice for anybody who's joining the community. I mean, if you're like super strapped for cash and you like need to get experience and some money quickly, then like by all means, like go join whatever bizop thing that like lands on your plate just to try to get some experience and some cash flow. But I was in a position where, I probably had a few months saved up, so I wasn't too desperate to land a role immediately. And I just know myself really well. I cannot sell something if I don't believe in it. So I need to see that they have like a boatload of testimonials. The vision for the business is actually doing something that I care about. So I'm very passionate about mental health and physical health. So I was kind of interested in, maybe a fitness offer or something like that. And then this one just kind of like showed up out of nowhere. I think I saw you post something on Instagram about it, and I immediately just like DM'd the owner, and I was like, hey, my values are aligned with what you're doing. do you want my help? Basically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what started the conversation. And the reason I know this is important is because I tried selling solar for like the entire year prior. I didn't really get a lot of traction in it. And truthfully, it's because I don't give a fuck about solar.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You're saving people like $100 a month at the most, and you're throwing solar panels on their roof. And sometimes it's probably not the best financial decision for them. So it's just like a weird sale. So, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
like, maybe if you're really passionate about climate change or something, like you can
Yeah.
put some conviction behind the solar. Maybe getting a big 10K commission check is enough motivation to care about solar. But even when I got a couple checks doing solar, I was still kind of like, I don't even know if I'm really helping anybody, and I'm not thirsty enough to just keep doing this forever. So that was kind of why I made the pivot
Yeah.
into high ticket sales, just because there's more options when it comes to what kind of business you can sell for. So that's why I think it's a really cool opportunity. You're not just stuck, doing outbound for an insurance company or whatever these traditional sales jobs on Indeed look like, where they're telling you you can make 200 grand, but you're just hammering a phone for an insurance company from
Yeah.
9 to 6 all day and you're not making anything. So that's why it's important. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, you did. Because I had known, I had known Griffin when I first moved to Austin. He was one of the first people I met. This guy with like barely any followers on Twitter hit me up to go to dinner. I was like, okay, cool. I want to meet people. But I remember when I had sent people over to him, community people, and he was asking me about different people. Um, and he showed interest in you, but you didn't really have like the remote closing experience yet. Like what do you think it was that he saw in you that ultimately led him to pick you over other people who may have already closed in a remote closing manner before?
Hmm. Good question. Probably just like value alignment. And I'm just so obsessed with like learning and getting better. I probably showed him pretty quickly that I'm not just here to like collect a check. I want to actually sell something that works.
Yeah,
And truthfully, like I handle the interview process with people the same way that I handle a sales call. And if you're going to handle an effective sales call, you should be asking a boatload of questions and you shouldn't be showing any signs of desperation that you like need that position. For example, like that's just like a red flag. If you're like, I need money, dude, give me a job. It's like, no one wants to
yeah,
hire somebody like that. So I made it very clear that I was interviewing with a handful of other people. I probably had like 15 lined up even after that interview over the next 2 weeks or something like crazy. Or at least I had 15 conversations open with like hiring managers and offer owners, literally just because every time Dylan posted something, I hit those people up. And it's like, if the vibes were good, I took the next step. If the
yeah,
vibes were weird or like I didn't align with their offer, I just moved on to the next one. So that's really important, is to just like, hold the frame that you like aren't desperate and show people that you're willing to learn. So
yeah.
sometimes hiring an old dog and trying to teach them new things and like a new process is going to take longer and be an even bigger investment than it is to teach somebody new who's just hungry and wants to learn.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like because you like with your background, like you were serving before and then you were doing solar, like you obviously have some of the fundamentals down, but there could be another version of you that comes into all this and feels like you cannot close. You should not apply to that job. I should start at appointment setting. And that's why I think like so much of where you start and how fast you see success is literally like how confident you are in your ability to learn and talk to these people about a role that you want, that you think you can maybe do. So I see it a lot, man. Like someone with your same background, they just like undermine what they could probably already do, and then they don't get as far as fast. So,
Yeah.
but I did want to ask you about that too, because I remember you had like a really good hit rate on applications to interviews despite not having too much experience. And I, if I remember right, you were getting like very crafty with it. You were like providing value in different ways that you that maybe the average applicant wasn't. Like, can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, totally. So something that I ended up doing, well, first of all, like Google the people that you're interviewing with and like learn a little bit about them. Google the company, the offer, whatever. go, maybe it's unethical or whatever, go funnel hack them, start a Loom recording, and tell them what's fucked up in their funnel. Provide some value. Be like, hey, like there's a typo here that looks super unprofessional or whatever. I'm really detail oriented, and I have done a lot of self education with regards to marketing and sales process stuff, even before getting into high ticket sales, because I tried generating leads for myself with solar and creating ads and stuff like that. So I had some context already on like how these businesses work and funnels. So I just kind of like provided my opinion. I didn't even know that it was valuable, but I was like, hey, let's try to give them something for free so they can get a taste of what it would be like to interact with me on like a daily or weekly basis if I was on their team. And I'm like really blunt, transparent. I don't care if you're making $1 million a month, like, and I'm gonna just treat you the same way I would treat the janitor at a restaurant or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's just the way that I operate. So some people don't like that I have that energy. They feel threatened by it or think I'm a dickhead or whatever. That's fine. A lot of people love it because they know I'm not, there's no fluff or anything like that. So some people that I did interviews with and I tried that approach with, they didn't like it and I didn't vibe with them. So I know really quickly we're probably not a good match.
Yeah.
So the people that I do end up working with and building relationships with, they appreciate the brevity. They appreciate that I do something a little different in the hiring process. So
Mhm.
that's what I would recommend is like go audit their stuff, like do your research, show that you know what their offer is.
Yeah.
Figure out beforehand if it even might be a good fit, so you can respect their time and not even do an interview if you get bad vibes.
Yeah. That's good advice. You want to make sure too that so you had a background trying to like generate leads for people, so you could kind of break down funnels and stuff and probably like provide some actual value. If you're a kid that doesn't know what the hell you're talking about, like just make sure you don't shoot yourself in the foot,
Yeah,
right? Because it
totally.
even if you know what you're talking about, it could be received in a way that you don't want it to be received, and at that
Mm-hmm.
point, it's just like, nope, on to the next. Okay, cool. I didn't really lose too much. So I I think a lot of people that come in and like would potentially struggle to make things happen as fast as you did is like they seem to want like approval before they try things. You would like go and try things and then come back and be like, hey, I did this and got this. What do you think?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's actually perfect. Like you're doing everything that I would tell you to do anyways, and just like I don't know, hoping it's right, which it's not rocket science. Like, um, so yeah, that's cool. But I guess taking it like back more before you joined and when you were like considering one joining the community, but also like just entering this remote closing space, like how did you narrow down to the remote closing space? Like, how did you get the confidence that like, oh, this is actually legit? Because I know a lot of people, it's like an online business model. They're going to have skepticism, but how did you narrow down and decide to like jump into it?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I booked a call with you
Yeah.
and I required some follow up to be convinced to actually join the community because I am a very type A personality, obviously, and
Yeah.
required some convincing and social proof to actually make a decision. Um, so it probably took me like a good 4 to 6 weeks for me to fully believe that the business model even makes sense. Because I was like stuck on the doors and looking at kind of more traditional SDR roles on Indeed and stuff like that. And I was like, this sounds miserable, but I know I need to learn sales. So basically, I think YouTube and Instagram figured out what I was looking for, as it always does. And I was just
Yeah.
seeing all these things pop up on YouTube about high ticket sales. Dylan's content seemed to be the most aligned with my personality because he's very just like transparent and laid back, just kind of like tells the truth and just seemed like a good dude. So I did an actual, sales call with Dylan about his community. And I knew I trusted him immediately, even though I wasn't gonna, join
Yeah.
immediately. But that was pretty much what it took was me having some genuine conversations with people that have actually done it before. And even though I was still skeptical, eventually I was like, there's no fucking way I'm doing this solar thing for much longer. So it's like worst case, the absolute worst case scenario is like not that terrible. So I was
Yeah.
like, there's guaranteed results by joining Dylan's community. So I was like, fuck it, let's just take the leap. New year, it was January
Yeah.
2024 when I finally did it, and the stars just kind of aligned for me to make a change. And yeah, that's something important too that you just touched on, is like, in this space there's a new offer getting created every day. Like, there's somebody out there building a new business that's going to require contracted sales talent. So you don't have to be desperate to, like, even just in Dylan's community, there's like 5 jobs posted like per member of the community or some cool number like that. So like, think about all the ones that Dylan doesn't even know about that are out there that
Oh
like
yeah.
you can probably find eventually. So like, being desperate for a role is like ironically not going to get you one. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So much of it comes down to like, regardless of what's on your resume, so much of it just comes down to the belief that you have in yourself and that it is possible and you can do it. Like literally, because if you came into it and you didn't believe that, you wouldn't have got the role that you have now because they would have picked someone with more experience.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have made it happen as fast. You probably would have figured it out because like we really do work with people until like unless they just give up. Um, but yeah, man, so much of it is like mindset related stuff. That's why it's cool working with like sales reps from other industries because they kind of already have this like confidence that hey, I can do this. Let me just get into a better vehicle.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, anyways, I want to ask you one more question, then we can wrap it up. Uh,
Totally.
we were talking about this a little bit before, um, but like the benefits of being a contractor, taking inbound sales calls. Like after this, you're about to go to the gym. Can you tell me a little bit about just like the overall like quality of life with like the earnings versus the lifestyle and that balance that you've experienced over? I don't know how long you've been there now. Like how long has it been?
It's like 6 or 7 months, I think.
Yeah. So what's like the balance like for you? How's it been?
Yeah. So obviously, as with any sales job, you have KPIs that you have to hit. But truthfully, like, as long as you're hitting those, they don't really care how you hit them. So you have the freedom to some degree. I mean, I imagine this is the case on other offers too, where you can kind of design your life in a way where you're taking calls when you have the best energy. You're not forced to be like on the clock from 8 to 5 p.m. God forbid you're not a morning person, so you're not forced to like take calls at 8 or 9 in the morning. You can kind of just build your lifestyle to some degree. I will, however, say you need to understand how to manage money because you're going to have to pay taxes. You don't get a tax refund. It's not a W-2 where they take your 401k out and your taxes out for you. You have to tuck your 20% to the side just in case.
Yeah.
Um, get an accountant that knows how to write things off because you can write off your home office. You can write off vehicle expenses, probably. You can write off your cell phone, computer, internet. I write off a ton of stuff, any opportunity I can. Luckily, my mom is my accountant, so she's like really
Nice.
good at finessing all that stuff for me. So with freedom comes responsibility. So you need to be good at managing your time and your money, and you obviously have to hit the KPIs for your offer. And if their
Yeah.
KPIs are like ridiculous and unreasonable, you're going to know during the interview process if this is for you or not. Like if they're saying
Yeah.
you got to work 60, 70 hours a week for a contracted job, they can't enforce that. So like, unless you're up for that challenge, like, you can just move on to the next offer. So the
Yeah.
freedom and flexibility definitely requires discipline and, yeah, understanding, how to like save money and stuff like that, manage your taxes and everything too. But I prefer the flexibility just based off of my experience working in restaurants and having W-2 jobs in the past, people telling me, I got to work a certain amount of hours and whatever, full time versus part time to get benefits, all that crap. Like, that's all gone. But you got to get your own health insurance. You got to do everything and be an
Yeah.
adult, basically,
Yeah.
to reap the benefits of being 1099.
So for a little shameless plug, I guess, you're talking about tax write-offs, talking about freedom over your time. Really quick, I'll throw out there like Gary's going to be in Austin in about 2 weeks with us. A lot of guys like Gary are also going to be there. So if you see this guy, it's probably a good guy to connect with. He knows a thing or two. And
Maybe.
it's a tax write off. We're pretty much out of the tickets, not fully, but there's still some stuff available. But yeah, it's a tax write off. And in this space, man, like I don't know how much connecting you've continued to do with people outside, like once you landed your role, but like that is one of the most powerful things you can do. And when you can do it in person at, I don't like, I'm not even trying to be biased. I think this might be like the biggest, like high ticket event in the US like this year. Um, like, dude, if you were to go and get a circle around you of 10 guys just like Gary, like, how are you going to fail? You know,
Yeah.
or like, you're just like creating like an insurance policy by knowing more people. If you're not in the community, I mean, that's one way to do it, but also just going and meeting people who are having success, or if you're brand new, people that can kind of guide you a little bit. So if you're coming to Austin,
For
Gary's
sure.
going to be there. Say what's up to him. Say what's up to me. And yeah, I guess any last words you would want to share with someone who's trying to make this happen?
No, man, I'm super grateful that I found you on the internet. You're the man. Your community is legit.
Cool.
I've met some pretty dope people as a result of getting into this high ticket space. Haven't even met them in person yet, so I'm really excited about that. I personally think I am significantly more fun to be around in person than I am over Zoom and stuff. That's like the only downside to remote work is you don't get to have those connections like on a daily basis, which I did kind of enjoy about going into the restaurant and being on a door knocking team and stuff like that. But I think the pros outweigh the cons. So any opportunity you have to actually build relationships in person in this space, take advantage of it. If your offer is, buying people a trip somewhere, like a group event or whatever, like go do that.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity to go to Austin for Dylan's event, I haven't been yet. This is my first year, but I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting you in person as well
Yeah.
as Griffin too. So
Yeah.
it's like I feel like putting a face to a name on the internet is different than dapping somebody up and sharing a
Yeah.
beer in person. I feel like it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, man. I mean, you either pay it to Uncle Sam or you pay it to yourself. That's
Yeah.
the way I see it. So, yeah, man. If you, we'll talk after. If Gary wants you guys to reach out to him to connect with him to build your relationships, I'll include one of his links below.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll cut it off there. I appreciate you coming on. It's long. I think it's long overdue. You've been crushing it for a while, but it's better. Like the longer you can delay, the better the interview usually is. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
Cool. Yeah. No stress. Thank you.